Hi, I'm Jennifer Taylor, and this is the story of how I went from being just a receptionist to becoming the game changer that transformed the tech industry. But more than that, it's about how sometimes the most groundbreaking innovations come from the most overlooked people. For 3 years, I worked as a receptionist at Tailored Technologies, my father's software company. Not exactly what you'd expect for the CEO's daughter with a computer science degree from MIT, but my dad had his reasons. "You need to learn humility," he said when I asked for a development role. "Starting at the bottom builds character." What he actually meant was that he didn't trust my abilities. After all, I was the creative one who spent my college summers building indie games rather than pursuing prestigious internships like my brother, Michael. Every day, I greeted high-level executives in designer suits, set up meetings I wasn't allowed to sit in on, and watched as my ideas were dismissed without a second thought. "Just forward the calls, Jen," they'd say, barely acknowledging me as they rushed off to their important meetings. But what they didn't know, what none of them knew, was that working as a receptionist gave me a unique perspective. I saw it all, every visitor, every conversation, every problem that needed solving. I also had access to all the feedback, complaints, and customer service calls that flowed through the front desk. On quiet afternoons, while answering phones and organizing schedules, I worked on a side project, what Michael liked to call my hobby. It started out as a simple tool to manage the flow of visitors and meetings, but it grew into something bigger. I started noticing patterns in customer complaints, service gaps, and inefficiencies no one else seemed to care about. So, I began building solutions, small ones at first: automated scheduling, visitor tracking, and predictive analytics for managing customer service requests. By my second year, I had developed an advanced AI-driven system that could revolutionize how companies interact with customers. My dad never noticed. He was too busy focusing on Michael, fresh out of Harvard with an MBA, grooming him to take over the company. Michael, who couldn't write a line of code to save his life, but was an expert at talking about market growth and synergies. Then one day, everything changed. I overheard Dad and Michael in the conference room discussing the company's public image. "Having your daughter as a receptionist sends the wrong message," Michael argued. "We need to look professional, especially with the Microsoft deal coming up." Dad sighed. "You're right. It's time Jen figured out what she wants to do. She's had her fun playing employee." The next morning, Dad called me into his office. "Jennifer, we need to talk about your future," he said. I listened quietly as he explained that it was time for me to move on, that the company needed to uphold a professional image, and that he was doing this for my own good. He even offered me a generous severance package, his way of softening the blow of firing his own daughter. What he didn't know was that I had spent the previous night finalizing the patent applications for my project. As I walked out of his office, carrying a box with my belongings, I smiled. In exactly 1 month, the Microsoft meeting they were so worried about would unfold in a way they never expected. The next month was a blur. While Dad and Michael prepped for what they thought was a game-changing meeting, I was busy fine-tuning my AI system. My tiny apartment became my command center, with 3 monitors displaying the various aspects of my creation, which I had named Iris, Intelligent Response Integration System. The irony of naming my AI after the Greek goddess of communication wasn't lost on me. Then came the email that changed everything. "Dear Miss Taylor, I've reviewed your proposal and prototype for Iris. Your integration of AI into customer service is exactly what we've been looking for. Would you be available to meet next Thursday at 2 p.m. Best regards, Sarah Chin, VP of Innovation, Microsoft." I smiled, remembering how I'd submitted my project to Microsoft's innovation portal the day after Dad fired me. While Dad and Michael were negotiating a standard software deal with Microsoft, I had quietly been working on the very thing they were searching for: an AI solution to transform customer service operations. The meeting with Sarah went better than I could have imagined. By the end, she wasn't just interested, she was excited. "This is amazing, Jennifer," she said, exploring Iris's features. "You've solved problems we've been trying to address for years. How long did it take your team to build this?" "No team," I replied, "just me, working around my receptionist duties." Sarah's eyes widened. "You built this while working as a receptionist?" "Sometimes the best solutions come from those who experience the problems firsthand," I said with a smile. 2 weeks later, I got another email from Sarah. This one made my heart race. "Jennifer, our CEO would like to see Iris in action. We're planning a visit to Tailored Technologies next Thursday for a partnership discussion. Would you be willing to do a demo that same day? The timing seems perfect. Best regards, Sarah. I grinned as I replied. Dad and Michael had no idea that Microsoft's interest in tailored technologies was about to take a very unexpected turn. The day of the meeting arrived. I dressed in a sharp charcoal suit, no more business casual receptionist attire. As I entered the lobby of Tailored Technologies, Lisa, my replacement, didn't recognize me at first. "I'm here for the Microsoft meeting," I said, enjoying her surprised expression. "Oh, Miss Taylor, I'm so sorry, I didn't." "It's fine," I interrupted, hearing familiar voices approaching from the conference room. Dad and Michael emerged, deep in conversation with Microsoft's CEO and Sarah. When Dad saw me, his face went from confusion to panic. "Jennifer, what are you doing here?" Before I could respond, the CEO of Microsoft stepped forward with a welcoming smile and extended his hand. "Ah, Miss Taylor, the person of the hour. We've been eagerly anticipating your presentation." Dad's face drained of color as he shifted his gaze between us. "Presentation?" he asked, visibly confused. Sarah smiled knowingly. "Didn't you realize? The true purpose of our visit today isn't to discuss your integration proposal. We're here to see Iris, your daughter system, the one you hadn't mentioned, the one developed right here in your company." That's when I opened my laptop, preparing to demonstrate exactly what a receptionist could achieve. A hush fell over the conference room as I connected my laptop to the screen. Michael fidgeted in his plush chair, while Dad remained frozen, his face a mix of confusion and mounting concern. "Iris," I began, addressing the room, "is an ad-driven system that transforms how companies handle customer interactions. But instead of just explaining it, let me show you." I pulled up a live demo, displaying Iris's sleek interface. For the last 3 years, while working as a receptionist, I observed how our company handled customer service, visitor management, and internal communication. I noticed inefficiencies and opportunities that only someone on the front lines could spot. The Microsoft CEO leaned in, clearly intrigued. "Please, continue." I demonstrated how Iris could predict customer needs using historical data, automatically route inquiries to the correct departments, and even anticipate potential issues before they arose. "Here's what Iris did with just 3 months of Tailored Technologies customer service data," I said, bringing up a graph. It uncovered patterns that helped reduce response times by 70% and increased customer satisfaction by 85%. "Impossible," Michael interjected. "Our customer service metrics are proprietary. You couldn't have had access to that data as a receptionist." I smiled knowingly. Actually, every customer call, complaint, and compliment came through the front desk. I wasn't just accessing the data, I was the one collecting it. Sarah from Microsoft pulled out her tablet, showing the CEO something on it. "These numbers align with our own tests. We ran Iris through our simulation environments last week, and the performance was unparalleled." Dad finally spoke up. "You developed this while answering phones and taking lunch breaks?" I replied, "Between meetings, while waiting for couriers, those moments you thought I was just goofing off on my computer." I paused for emphasis. "It's incredible what you can accomplish when no one's watching." The Microsoft CEO stood up, impressed. "Miss Taylor, we've seen enough. We'd like to make you an offer." He slid a folder across the table. Inside was a contract that took my breath away. Microsoft wanted to acquire Iris for $120 million and hire me as their head of AI innovation. The room erupted into chaos. Michael was sputtering about family loyalty and obligations, while Dad stared in stunned silence at the contract. But what happened next showed me that sometimes the hardest choices lead to the greatest successes. I closed my laptop and turned to my father. "Before anyone signs anything, I have a counteroffer." Dad looked up at me, his face a mix of pride, regret, and fear, emotions I hadn't seen from him before. 3 years ago, you put me at the front desk to teach me humility," I said, pulling out another set of documents from my briefcase. "But what you really taught me was priceless. I learned how this company truly operates from the ground up." I placed the documents in front of him. "So here's my proposal. Instead of selling Iris to Microsoft, we partner with them. Iris becomes a joint venture between Tailored Technologies and Microsoft, with me heading the development team." The Microsoft CEO raised an eyebrow. "Explain further." "Tailored Technologies has the connections and infrastructure. Microsoft has the global reach and resources. Together, we could make Iris the gold standard in business AI." Sarah quickly ran some numbers on her tablet. The potential revenue from a partnership model could vastly exceed the buyout offer within 5 years. she said. Dad picked up the partnership proposal, his hand trembling slightly. You had this planned all along? I learned from you, Dad, I said quietly. Always have a backup plan. The next 2 hours were a whirlwind of intense negotiations. By the end, we reached an agreement. Iris would become a joint venture with Taylor Technologies and Microsoft, each holding 40%, and I would retain 20% plus the role of Chief Innovation Officer. As the Microsoft team left to finalize the details, Dad asked me to stay behind. Michael had stormed out earlier, presumably to process the fact that his receptionist sister had just brokered the biggest deal in the company's history. Jen, Dad said, looking older and wiser than I had ever seen him, I owe you an apology. Actually, I interjected, you owe an apology to every receptionist, junior employee, and overlooked worker in this company. I can promise you, they all have valuable insights we've been ignoring. Over the next year, Taylor Technologies underwent a complete transformation. We introduced a company-wide innovation program, encouraging ideas from all employees, no matter their title. Iris evolved beyond our wildest dreams, setting the standard for ad-driven business solutions. Michael eventually came around, admitting that his Harvard MBA hadn't prepared him for the real innovation happening at the front lines. He now leads our corporate strategy but requires each new manager to spend a month working at the front desk, a program we've named the Jennifer Protocol. Just last week, I delivered the commencement speech at MIT. My topic, Innovation from the Ground Up, Why Every Position Matters. As I looked out over the graduating class, I shared the lessons I had learned during my time as a receptionist, that real innovation doesn't care about your title, office, or position on the corporate ladder. It's about your ability to see problems and imagine solutions. Dad was there, sitting proudly in the front row. These days, he listens more to his employees and less to his assumptions about their potential. The company's success is proof of that. Our stock price has tripled, and employee satisfaction is at an all-time high. As for me, I keep a photo of my old reception desk in my corner office. It's a reminder that sometimes the best view of a company isn't from the top down, but from the ground up. And the next groundbreaking idea might come from the person answering the phones, if only someone is willing to listen. After all, I'm living proof that you should never underestimate the power of just a receptionist. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video, and stay amazed.